Whenever we talk about this rivalry in college sports, no matter what sport we are talking about, it's always going to be a good game. Michigan, Michigan State. It's one of the best rivalries in all of college sports. Definitely one of the biggest rivalries in the Big Ten. And this one, college basketball, the Spartans get the win over the Wolverines 59-53. Yes, a low scoring game, if you will, Steve, but this was a very good game through and through. Michigan State holds on to with some love from AJ Hoggard. He was just fantastic
He
in
was.
this one. 6 for 10 from the field, 15 points. I mean, the numbers don't sound super impressive, but when you watch him on the court, he looked really good. I had some really good just feelings from him when he had the ball at all times. And I really also liked what Malik Hall did. Now he had some injury. He came off for a little bit, a twisted ankle, messed up ankle, something like that. And he came back in, still really just set it up. Also had 15 points. If he wasn't got hurt, I think he would have been close to 20, 25. He was really feeling it in this one. But Michigan State 59-53. Before we talk about the other side of the ball, let's talk about the winning squad. The Spartans moving to 11-4. There were some issues at the beginning of the year about them closing some games out. That wasn't the issue this one against Michigan. What's your thoughts about Tom Izzo's squad?
You know, they just play such great defense. I mean, night in, night out. They're going to be in just about every game. Am I still concerned about where the scoring is going to come from? Yeah, I mean, as far as consistent scoring, somebody's going to get the job done every night, and maybe that's going to be the key for them. As long as somebody is stepping up every night, the way that Tom Izzo schemes out, his defenses, he knows before he's going in when he's going to go into a zone, when he's going to try to, do pressure at the half court. He already has that figured out going in, and then he just applies it depending on what's happening in the game. But if they can have just one guy every night step up, like Malik Hall came off the bench. Yes, he probably would have hit 20 had he not had to sit because of his ankle. But as long as you've got that kind of performance, I think Michigan State is going to find a way to. And we're going to have to do an entire show where you just sit there and you tell me all of the things I got wrong in all of the previews. Especially with programs like Michigan State, and we talked about Auburn earlier. You just need to say, in fairness, as a public service announcement, we need to point out to our listeners that sometimes Feck is a dope, and here is why he's a dope. And you can go right down, and I'll take it. I'll take it good naturedly, and I deserve it, because there are teams. I mean, I was really skeptical of Michigan State, and it breaks my heart because I want Tom Izzo to win every national championship. He's just that kind of an iconic coach. Now that Krzyzewski is gone, I would say he's the iconic coach left in college basketball. Well, would you agree?
Yeah, I mean, initially, yeah. Jay Wright's also gone too. Yeah, you don't have Roy Williams no more.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
mean Mark Few maybe.
yeah. Mark Few would be up there. Coach from Baylor, Drew Scott.
Yeah,
Um,
of course, our man in Kansas, Bill Self.
yeah, Bill Self. Yeah, no, Tom Izzo, I think would sit the top there. Yeah, I would take that. Yeah, absolutely. Now Michigan State. This is you can tell this isn't the best team that Izzo's ever coached, right? But
Right.
you could initially he had a couple off-season interviews. He had one with John Rothstein at the beginning of the season, and he kept talking about how much he loved this team, and he focused on the defense, like you were alluding to, and it's really starting to show. And it seems like that's going to keep them in ball games in the Big Ten, where it really matters the most. We saw it. Having some issues against non-conference. Maybe they're not going to be the best tournament team, but in Big Ten play, they're looking really good. So that might get you to the dance. You might not have the best dancing shoes when the party starts, however, but right now they're looking really, really good. This Michigan win was huge. They had a nice win earlier in the season as well in the Big Ten against Nebraska. They are now 3-1 in the Big Ten. They move on next week to take on Wisconsin, who just had a tough loss as well. They're currently 14th in the nation. They're going to be going down after their loss that just happened last night against Illinois. Michigan State has the opportunity, I think, to make some noise in the Big Ten and get themselves set up to be a really high seed. The Big Ten is dangerous this year. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that they're going to be the number one seed going to the tournament. However, what I am saying is if they keep this defense tight, they get their shooting and scoring a little better, and they get them diverse, and they still have a few injuries themselves. If they
Mhm.
can get that all handled, this is a team that could make some magic moving forward. We talked about Virginia Tech in the ACC championship
Right.
last year. Michigan State could be that team this year in the Big Ten.
Yeah, again, I mean, defense and guard play wins you championships, and Michigan State's got both of that. So again, I don't put anything beyond Tom Izzo. I just don't. Any team that he coaches, I think they're always going to be competitive. They're going to give you his best, and he's going to 99 times out of 100, he's going to outcoach you every night, no matter how good a job that you do. I mean, Tom Izzo's going to outcoach you. He's just that great of a basketball coach, and he can anticipate. He's like that chess master that is already playing, 6 or 7 moves ahead in the current moment. He already knows what he wants to do, so it would be amazing. Um, I guess I have to say this. I've said this about Miami in the ACC. Do I need to drop the O word here?
You think Michigan's overrated? You think
I
that's the
think I,
case?
I think Michigan and Indiana are both overrated, and I think it's starting to come to the surface now as both teams are in conference play. What makes Michigan and Indiana dangerous is that they really are relying on younger players. So I think people were projecting a little bit too much for both of those teams. Let's focus on Michigan right now. I think they were projecting too much on those younger players being able to step up and play major minutes and make major impacts right away. So right now, I would say that they're paper Wolverines. I don't think that they're actually vicious Wolverines. They're just kind of paper Wolverines. But as these young players get their equilibrium and they get the court underneath their feet a little bit more, maybe come mid-February into March, maybe now their potential shows up. But right now, I would have to, I'll whisper because I don't think it's as bad as Miami, but overrated.
See, that's an interesting conversation because if you look at the standings, and obviously I know that we were talking about two different teams here, and we just saw the result in this one. Michigan State and Michigan both are 3-1 in the Big Ten right now
Right.
after the Michigan loss here. But we do think differently about the Michigan team. Now, I thought Michigan was going to be a lot better at the beginning of the season. I had them very high up in my rankings. I actually think I had them winning the Big Ten, if I remember correctly. So if you want to talk about having an episode all by yourself and all the things you got wrong, believe me, we're going to have a sequel for me. But when you look at this Michigan squad, I don't know if I want to give them the O word yet. I don't know if I'm ready for that one yet. I don't know if I am. I can maybe see the conversation about Indiana, maybe. But with Michigan, they're having an issue at shooting. They have some good defense themselves, but their shooting is rough. And I think that's something that can be adjusted. We're still early in the season. We just hit the halfway point, if you will. But when they have opportunities to win the game, they could have won the game a couple times in this one. It just didn't pan out for them. Hunter Dickinson is a very special player. When he gets the ball, he's very hard to stop. And I think if they can find a way to keep facilitating to him more, then they have a better shot. Jet Howard, when he's on, that Michigan squad is dangerous. He looked like he was getting hot early in this game and then kind of faded off. Gus Johnson, always love hearing Gus Johnson on the call, by the way, football, basketball, whatever it is. He got all dirty with it, made sure we let everybody know that Jet was spelled with 2 T's in this one after hitting a really crazy 3-point shot. But, they faded. And that was something that obviously can't happen against a team as defensively, advanced as Michigan State. They shot 34% from the field. They were only 15% from 3-point. That was just absolutely dreadful.
Yeah.
3 for 20 from beyond the arc. If they can find a way to better that shooting, then I'm not worried about them. However, when they're going into, obviously we're sitting in tough Big Ten play. They play Iowa next. Iowa's a team that's coming on the up and up. We know how Iowa is right now. They're also kind of struggling. That could be a team that could turn into being an overrated squad, if you will. And then they're playing Northwestern. And Northwestern has been sneaky good so far this year. So let's see what happens this week. They play Iowa on Thursday, then they play Northwestern on Sunday. So maybe let's circle back to this conversation once the rankings come out next Monday, a week from today. And then if they're still struggling, if they are 3-2 or 4-2, or maybe even 3-3 in the conference, then I'm willing to give that big O instead of that big M as their logo.
Yeah, when you talk about Howard, and that's a perfect example of a younger player that disappears. And I don't mean that because he's not playing hard or he's not talented enough. He disappears because he's not used to the unrelenting pressure that just about every night in the Big Ten you're going to venture. You talked about Northwestern had a big win. Rutgers has had back-to-back big wins. Teams that you don't think about being near the top of the Big Ten, but every night these teams play a style that just wears you down. And I think that's really why, even though a lot of schools will get in from the Big Ten, that's why they never really can hold up in the tournament a lot. It's a really special team that goes deep because of this just an every night intensity that happens in the Big Ten. And it's special in the Big Ten. I know every conference, Big 12, SEC, Big East, you can name it. Yes. ACC, yes, they play. You've got good teams every night. They don't play with the intensity and at the motor level that you see night in, night out in the Big Ten. So I think that's where I'm worried about a team like Michigan and Indiana. Those young guys, now it'll make them better players next year, but I really do worry whether they can make an impact like Michigan needs its young players to make an impact.
I'm with you 100%. Let us know your thoughts about these two Michigan schools, the Wolverines and the Spartans. Where do you think that they lie right now? What do you think about this win? You think the Spartans are on the up and up? Do you think they can get back into the top 25? And do you see them being a possible dark horse in the Big Ten tournament when we get closer and closer to the end of the season? And Michigan, do you believe with Steve? Do you think that they are possibly overrated? I said that a little louder than you did, but do you think they are? Let us know your thoughts in the comment description below. Hit like and subscribe while you're there. And thanks for watching SlasherU.